This was not for her not to call anybody, for her not to do anything. I felt something was wrong, very, very wrong.
Do you think you know why Katelyn Markham was killed?
We do at this point have what we would consider a strong motive for that case.
And you have a suspect?
I would say so, yes.
Justice can be delayed, but it will never be denied. 10 years ago, the remains of Katelyn Markham were found in the most unexpected manner. For almost 2 years, everyone was searching for Katelyn Markham, who disappeared back in August 2011. It was very unfortunate, a sad tale with no lead slowly becoming a dead end. But on the 7th of April 2013, all friends, family, and even strangers who had been so invested in the search had to sit back and react to the Fairfield police finding what was left of Katelyn Markham in Cedar Grove, Indiana, 30 miles from where she lived. This case went cold for over 11 years, but thankfully there is a glimmer of hope in sight that Katelyn Markham will finally get justice. Arrests have been made, but with so much time gone, what are the chances? Buckle up as we highlight every development in the Katelyn Markham case. Sometime around 11 o'clock on that Sunday morning, Andy Hicks left his home in search of scrap metal. Never in a million years would he imagine that this search would lead him to the discovery that would close one chapter in the Katelyn Markham's disappearance case and begin another. It was a long, big Cedar South road, a couple of miles off Highway 52. Andy Hicks spotted a patch of garbage along the side of the road, which was where he found Katelyn Markham's skeletal remains. According to him, he was just digging through a little area, and he had successfully picked up some metal when he discovered a jawbone right in between two trees.
I was just, digging through this little area here, picking up some metal, and here found a jawbone right on the other side of that little tree right there, right between them two little trees.
At his house, Hicks went on to provide more details about the grisly discovery. When describing his call to the police after discovering Katelyn's remains, he explained how he picked up the jawbone and instantly knew it did not belong to an animal.
I picked it up and I said, "That's not no animal." And I hung it in a tree and went and called the cops, and they sent us to the DNR. DNR says, "Well, what makes you so sure it's a human jawbone?" And I said, "Well, it's got all its teeth and it's shaped just like mine."
Andy Hicks is clearly aware of all the attention and the importance of this discovery, and he has expressed how grateful he is to have been able to provide the much-needed answers that will bring justice to everyone involved.
Glad for that, it's just a bad way to go about it, figure out what happened.
The coroner had labelled Katelyn's death a homicide, but the cause of death, as far as we know, has still not been determined. A forensic anthropologist did find sharp force trauma on Katelyn's left wrist and speculated that this could have been caused by an attempt to dismember her. After so many years, the case now has a little glimmer of hope as John Allen Carter, Katelyn's then fiancé and the last person to see her alive, has been arrested. This happened on the 22nd of March 2023, and this is the body camera footage of the arrest. John Allen Carter was indicted by the grand jury for the murder of Katelyn Markham and was immediately taken into custody. Carter reportedly requested to talk to detectives during his initial arrest, but then changed his mind and said that he wanted to talk to a lawyer instead. Carter then pleaded not guilty and has currently been released after signing a $1 million bond. The prosecutor in this case has said that there were a number of writings found in John Allen Carter's home that are incriminating. These letters are said to revolve around love and death. One of the passages that the detectives found says, "Deep down, I love her. You want to kill her, but I love her. She must die." Another message that was found scribbled on a door read, "I slit your wrists as a key to your heart." Then there is Jonathan Palmerton, the other man who was first arrested for involvement in this homicide case. So far, he has just been charged with lying to the grand jury that was investigating the murder of Katelyn. Palmerton is expected to go to trial later this year. Shortly after these developments, Dave Markham, Katelyn's father, spoke to the Law and Crime Network on the 28th of April, where he had a lot to say about the case. Dave and the rest of the family have waited so many years to get justice for their daughter.
Good, excited, relieved. Waited a long time for this, and I know we've got a long ways to go, but I think we're on the right track. We're going places now, and it is such a relief, yes.
The interviewer, Anganette Levy has been invested in the Katelyn case from the very beginning, when she went missing in 2011. She went on to ask Dave Markham if he had heard about the search that happened prior to the arrest, or if he had heard any information that an arrest was about to happen.
Honestly, I didn't know anything. I didn't know they were investigating. I was not kept in the loop with anything until I got a call from the prosecutor's office stating that they were going to make arrests and they were going to do some searches. So I literally found out maybe 20 minutes prior, but they do like to keep me informed of things that's going to happen. That was very much of a shock, a good shock, surprising, because I had no idea. Butler County prosecutors were investigating and doing what they were doing.
At some point, Dave also expressed that he was not surprised that the suspect in this case would eventually turn out to be John Allen Carter. Although he was not surprised, he admitted that he felt disappointed instead. In his words, he was disappointed that it took 11.5 years and that he got to be free to decide what he was going to wear that day or do whatever he was going to do that day. But Katelyn did not have that opportunity.
No, I wasn't surprised. I think some people were surprised. I'm disappointed that it took 11.5 years and that he got to be free, decide what he was going to wear that day or do whatever he was going to do that day. And Katelyn did not have that opportunity.
At this point, Dave revealed why he never believed John Carter was innocent. He said he did not believe Carter right from the moment Carter called to yell in his ear that Katelyn had gone missing. Dave also revealed that Katelyn had wanted to move away and go to Colorado. He explained that she was making all the plans and setting things in motion to leave. She clearly had not wanted to stay with him or even have him go with her. In his words, she was starting to feel burned by him.
It is kind of a relief that my suspicions weren't, that they were warranted. I don't want to put anybody in the position that, would crucify him, but there's a lot of evidence against him, and I'm glad it's coming out. Like I said, I did not believe him from the beginning, from the time that he yelled into my ear when he told me she was missing. She's missing, she's missing. I can't find her anywhere. He didn't say, have you seen Katelyn? Is Katelyn with you? So right there, I was very hesitant to believe anything that he said. She was starting to feel burned by him. She was doing all the planning. He was still spending money. He wasn't saving money. And the search warrant and some of the affidavits had mentioned that she was not happy anymore. She did not want to take out a credit card loan. I think she had had enough, and I think she wanted to be done with it.
Not a lot of information has been given to the public with regard to the case, but a document was recently submitted in court about an unsealed search warrant affidavit. She revealed that there were some disturbing things revealed during the search. During the hearing, Butler County prosecutor Mike Moser quoted something from what is believed to be poems written by Josh Allen Carter. There was apparently a lot of dark stuff in the poems. The Cincinnati area defense attorney, James Bogan, also spoke to the Law and Crime Network and broke down some parts of the probable cause affidavit for the search warrant that led to the discovery of these poems. The first thing he discussed was the issue of John Allen Carter and the claim that Carter, and a person whose name has been redacted in the search warrant affidavit, had disposed of Katelyn Markham's body all those years ago. Katelyn's body had been wrapped in some sort of black plastic or sheeting construction material. The search warrant had been issued so the police could look for that kind of material, which they believed would be found at his mother's home. James Bogan provided some insights into this. He explained that the sheeting material they found might not hold much weight in court. According to him, it is something that people typically buy in bulk for different reasons. But he thinks that no matter how small it is as a piece of evidence, it still has weight as a small piece that could solve a much larger puzzle.
Well, that's what they found, and it's something that people typically buy in bulk. I mean, that by itself, that's not something that's completely dispositive in my opinion, but it's a piece of the puzzle. When you put that together with other pieces of the puzzle, it definitely fits with the prosecution's case. I mean, I was just at the gym the other night talking to a colleague. He's like, hey, I got that stuff. That doesn't make me guilty of the murder. But at the same time, it's just one piece of the puzzle.
As you know, the case is an old one. It's been going on since 2011, which is almost 12 years now. So it is natural that there would most likely be only circumstantial evidence left at this point. And as such, the prosecutors would have to look at everything like they are putting different puzzle pieces together in order to ascertain, or at the very least, have a clearer picture of what happened. Another bullet point on the document in question is the statement by the police that red vertical scratches were noticed on John Carter's neck when he was interviewed earlier on when Katelyn had disappeared. According to the police, John Allen Carter was interviewed right after Katelyn Markham was reported missing. But it wasn't until the day after that they saw red vertical scratches on Carter's neck. He had claimed that the marks were just from shaving, and unfortunately, that was how the matter was left. Of course, James Bogan had a few things to say about this. He explained that a couple of Carter's friends had come forward to say they were with him that night and had not noticed the scratches on him.
Well, it was actually, I think it was in the over a couple of days after they noticed these. There were some friends who said they were with them that night and did not notice any scratches on John Carter. He said it was from an electric razor. Having had an electric razor myself at one point, I have a hard time believing that, but at the same time, to say anything conclusive, I would need to see the razor and see a picture of these scratches.
Bogan also spoke on the eyewitness type of testimony that Katelyn Markham disappeared around the time that she was planning to move to Colorado with or without her then fiancé, John Carter. He also brought up a credit card application that Katelyn was supposed to sign with Carter at the time. He explained that her decreased lack of interest in Carter made her halt all of these initial plans. According to him, it certainly paints a picture of the type of relationship they had before shortly after Katelyn disappeared.
Yeah, she confided to friends that she felt trapped. She wasn't attracted to him anymore, and she was very concerned about his drug use, his viewing pornography, and wanting to do, how shall I say, unusual things when they were having sex. She wasn't attracted to him anymore.
Everything is beginning to come together nicely, as the affidavit has some more revelations with regard to the case. There is a developing discussion that on the night that Katelyn Markham disappeared, 2 teenage boys living on John Carter's street had sneaked out of the house and, in the process, witnessed something that would now be another piece in the puzzle. That night, these boys had seen 2 vehicles, including a red Ford Focus. Notably, John Allen Carter is believed to have been driving that exact kind of car at the time. According to the reports, this car pulled into the driveway, the garage of John Carter's mother's house. It was 2 a.m. and this car had its headlights off. The car stayed in the garage for a while and then pulled out some moments later. According to the affidavit, this piece of information is being taken seriously as evidence in the Katelyn Markham case. In the face of this development, James Bogan expressed his thoughts on the matter. He believes that driving at night with the lights off is generally considered a very suspicious behavior.
That's very suspicious. Whenever you see people driving purposely with their lights off, that's one of those things that would make any police officer suspicious. And those circumstances definitely don't look good for John Carter. The red Ford Focus, which belonged to John Carter, proven by registration and his admission, was in the garage for 5 to 15 minutes, then came out and then drove back in the direction of Katelyn Markham's home. That's something that the defense is definitely going to have to address if they go to trial.
Another thing this affidavit reveals is that a polygraph test has been conducted on John Allen Carter. However, polygraph tests are not admissible in court, so they can't be used at a trial, no matter what the tests eventually reveal. Be that as it may, these tests are still useful to the authorities as a tool to aid their investigations. But interestingly, the polygraph tests determined that John Carter was in fact being deceptive when he was asked to describe the night that Katelyn disappeared. Even when he was made to discuss whether or not he had later disposed of her body, the tests indicated that he was not being truthful. Bogan admits his belief that polygraph tests can be unreliable, but he still thinks that they can be used to determine probable cause to get a warrant during the course of an investigation. Now, for what was actually found during the search, the poems were said to be written by John Allen Carter. During the proceeding, the Butler County prosecutor, Mike Gmoser, read some of the poems recovered from Carter's belongings. In light of this development, Bogan expressed some concerns. According to him, the defense may make a case to question or challenge these poems because nobody can confirm if any of them were actually written by John Carter himself.
You know, I'm sure the defense will question and challenge, is this something that John Carter definitely wrote? I mean, some of it appears to be typewritten. I don't know if it's typewritten or written. I don't know if there's maybe handwriting experts, I don't know, but you have things in there like on the door he wrote, "I slit your wrist as a key to your heart," and you had cut marks on the wrist bones. And he also said things like, "I know, how do I kill you? You can't, you're right, about what? Nothing. You know, deep down I love her, you ought to kill her, but I love her, she must die." Like he's having a conflict with a demon within himself. That's what the prosecutors are trying to paint that as. And yeah, that's something the defense is definitely going to have to address by the ways that I mentioned.
Circling back to the redacted name that supposedly helped John Carter dispose of Katelyn Markham's body, the other person's name is obviously not being released to the public yet, but this leaves room for a lot of speculation. A quick look at the document suggests that someone else who has admitted involvement in the case is now cooperating with the authorities. Nothing has been confirmed, but there is a lot of speculation that this person might be none other than Jonathan Palmerton. The public might be grasping at straws, but it kind of makes sense. In this case, Palmerton was charged with lying to the grand jury and was arrested first. He might have been the one to flip on Carter because shortly after he gets charged with perjury for lying during the investigation, all of a sudden, the police have all of these search warrants and everything else. It's starting to look like the indictment against John Allen Carter might not have happened if Jonathan Palmerton was not caught in a lie and eventually arrested. But of course nothing has been confirmed, and this is all just speculation. Thinking back to when it happened, Katelyn Markham's disappearance was a big deal. So many searches were carried out for months, with different search parties fanning out over different areas to find her. People from out of town even trooped in to join in on the search. It's been a long time coming, and we can only hope that Katelyn Markham's family will finally get all the answers they are entitled to, and the much-needed justice to move forward. The trial for John Allen Carter is currently set for the 24th of June, 2024. We also expect that he should be back in court sometime soon for some type of status hearing or something to that effect.